Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Volpe from our half acre homestead. Now I went to the farmer's market today, and oh boy, it's so much better going on a Tuesday than it is on a Saturday. And I got 2 bushels of tomatoes that I want to can because mine aren't ripening fast enough for me. And well, I had the money and the tomatoes were the same price as last year, so I decided to get some. But before we get started playing with my new tomato press toy that I got at the yard sale, I want to talk to you a little bit about your pantry. Now this is one of my jars of emergency water, and it's about 6 months old, so it's time to rotate it. And we have a spring-fed well, and although we've been getting lots of rain lately, we still had a drought this year. And so why would I pour this water down the drain and refill it from my well if I could find another way of using it? Is I'm going to use this water to wash my tomatoes. So I'm just going to take my handy dandy pump that I paid $7 for, and I'm going to use it to wash my tomatoes. Because you know what, folks? This thing is so cool. You know what, folks? It's all about not wasting. So I am going to be using this water for my canning for the next couple of days. But first, we're going to wash our tomatoes. Isn't that cool? And the reason I bought this was when we had that 69-hour power outage, if nobody was home, I had no one to lift these bottles for me. If push came to shove and I was the only one at home, I could just go into my pantry and take the top off the bottle and just put this pump in, and I wouldn't even have to lift the bottle. I would just have water right there. Yeah, isn't that cool? Anyway, I'm going to go get my machine set up, and we're going to play with my new toys. Alrighty, we'll talk to you in a bit. Alright, now that these tomatoes are washed, and this is about a 1/4 to 1/3 of a bushel, and I have 2 full bushels, so I'm going to be busy. We're just going to slice them like this because they're going to be going in that grinder, and we're not going to cook them until we're already at the sauce. When I have all of these tomatoes ready to go through the press, we'll be back. Okay folks, as you can see here, I have about almost 2/3 of a bushel of tomatoes all washed and cut up. Now here's my press clamped to the table, and the reason you're seeing this is because this was really difficult for me to tighten with my hand. So what I did was I took this old nutcracker and I just slipped it in there to give myself some more torque, and it tightened down just nicely. Okay, the only thing that seems to be missing from this is there's usually a shield here, so I don't have that, but let's get a plate or a bowl or something to slide it under there to catch the pulp, and we're just going to start filling this with our tomatoes. Now you can blanch these if you want, but with this kind of quality of a food mill, you really don't need to. If you had one of the smaller plastic ones, I would recommend freezing and then blanching your tomatoes and taking, loosening the skins better. It also says do not operate this without food in it because it will not turn. Oh, there's some juice coming already. Well, I guess that's what this presser's for, eh, folks? Let's get some of that down in there, and it will turn so much easier. Yeah, I think this would work better if we blanched our tomatoes first, or diced them smaller. Now, I think I'll have arms like Hercules by the end of the summer, or I'll be laid up in bed tomorrow. We'll be back when I have this 3/4 of a bushel ground up. Okay folks, learn from my mistakes. Do not, I repeat, do not turn this handle counterclockwise until you're ready to take this apart for cleaning. Because it'll come apart and then you have to clean it and put it back together. It's a real pain in the butt when this happens in the middle of your work. Because A, there is tomato puree in there, and B, you can't get it back on the right way. Oh, shoot. Darn it. Okay, let's take this off. Get it in my way, set it down there on the table. I'm going to leave that there just in case. There's a couple little notches here. Oh, this thing is spring-loaded. It's, oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh. Oh. Having said that, you may want to take it apart now and again to clean it out. Alright, because it can get slightly clogged. Okay, what I have here is my larger stock pot, and in the bottom I have a wire rack, and I'm just going to set my big pot of tomato puree inside there, because I'm a great believer in double boiling so that your tomatoes don't scorch. And we're going to let this cook down, and I've got dinner to make, so we'll be back later. Alright, that's half to 2/3 of a bushel of tomatoes. This is the pulp, so there isn't a whole lot left. And I had to put 3 cups of the pureed tomato in my spaghetti sauce I'm making for supper. So that's not bad. Mind you, I'm going to have arms like Popeye by the time I get through the second bushel. Okay, here is my tomato sauce that has been simmering overnight. And when I say simmering, I mean just hot enough in the double boiler to keep it hot. Okay folks, I'm going to say my favorite method so far is to partially freeze them and then pop them into boiling water, because half of the skins will come off as you're putting them in here, and that makes it a lot easier. You're not going to have to clean your machine as often. Like look, the skins are coming right off. But also, this will take all the seeds out. And watch how fast, excuse me, I am an absolute mess. Watch how fast, oh shoot. Now, let me show you. I've got tomato juice everywhere, hang on. That's what happens if you accidentally turn the handle the wrong way. Alright, now let me show you how fast this works when it's hot. So much faster when they've been frozen and blanched than when, and you're not going to end up with arms like Popeye from cranking, because the fruit is softened and the peels are slick and slipping off. This, whoops, don't push too hard on the plunger or you'll have a tomato juice bath, and you don't, whoop. Oh my goodness, I'll tell you folks, I'm going to need a shower after this. Don't push too hard, okay folks? Anyway, oh my goodness, I got work to do. Alright, let's can this up. Now I've got my jars. They have been washed, rinsed, and baked in the oven at 175 to 200 degrees for a minimum of 15 minutes. And I have my lids that have been washed and they have been heated up in hot water. And here is my uniodized sea salt. Now I just did a thing on salt, and it says the ingredients, and who never thought you'd have to read the ingredients on salt? Salt, sodium thiosulfate, potassium iodide, sodium ferrocyanide. Now, I'm sorry folks, but can you see this? Doesn't that say 100% sea salt? So if there's other ingredients, they can't call it 100% sea salt. That's just wrong. Anyway, I'm not throwing it out because I have it, but from now on I will be buying, or a lot more careful about what I buy. Now this tomato sauce is a lot thinner than I would normally have it. It's like a cross between tomato sauce and tomato juice. There's still a lot of water left in these tomatoes, but that is okay. We don't mind a little bit of extra juice. We did puree out about an inch worth. So now we've got our sauce in there. We're going to do about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt because these are only pints and we don't need a whole lot. Take the funnel out. Always, always, always wipe the rim of your jar. Now I left my big boiling bath canner out at the camp, and unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I don't always use it anyway. I have here my 2 big stock pots on the stove here, one that I actually cooked the double boil in, and this other one I have right here. And all I have is put wire racks in the bottom with the water and a little bit of vinegar in the water not to cloud the jars. And we are just going to pop these right in there on the wire racks. Alright, we'll be back when my canners are full. Okay folks, I have 7 pints in each canner. If that water looks a little cloudy, it's because it's the water I used to double boil the tomato sauce, and I see no reason why it can't be used just to seal the jars. I've just added a bit more water and some vinegar. So we have 7 in there and 7 in here, and when they come to a boil, I'm going to process these in the boiling bath canner for 15 minutes. It really doesn't take long because the jars were hot, the lids were hot, and the sauce was hot. Alright, we'll be back when they come out of the canner. There we go folks, 14 pints of tomatoes, and all I've got left to do is this 3/4 of a bushel, this pot of puree, and this pot of tomatoes. This is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, it's just that time of year again. Take care.